Hello everyone, I'm back and today we are building a Mediterranean inspired old town. So I'm thinking like south of France, Italian vibes, Tuscany. So of course we had to build in the beautiful world of Tartosa. I think that I'm saying that right. I've never really been too sure how to pronounce this world. I know in like one of my other previous videos that I've done recently where I built in this world, I just sort of avoided having to say it because I always feel like when I say it, it's probably just not been said right. Anyway, considering we're literally making an old town for this world, I figured I was gonna have to just get over it and just say it. So we're building in Tartosa because of course it just fits perfectly for this kind of build. And I really enjoyed this build, had a lot of fun doing this build. It's one of my favourite types of builds to do. Perhaps not the most sort of suited to Sims because these sort of lots never really function how they should, if you know what I mean, because obviously we can't have multiple like different types of lots on one lot, if that makes sense. So yeah, but it's a bit of a longer build today. It's a bit of a bigger build, so just sit back, relax, and hopefully you'll enjoy my ramblings for the next 30 minutes or so. Fingers crossed. But yeah, so I built this lot. I think it's called the Old Wood Nectary, I want to say. The lot I've used for this one. It's the one that's sort of up high, not the main one that has the not the high one that has that amazing view of the sea where like it's like perfect for wedding venues, but the neighbourhood that's a bit further back into the hills is the one up there. I was going to build, well, when I started building this, I did think in my head I was going to build down in the lots that are in this neighbourhood, but like down almost in the countryside, and they have really nice paths around them and things. I thought that'd be perfect for this kind of build, but the lot sizes were a bit bigger than this one, which I know is a little bit strange because I'm making a big build, but I wanted a smaller lot. But I always find these sort of towns are very like squished, and like all the buildings are sort of, obviously they're all joined to each other, and it's all just kind of like just fits in how it fits in. And I just felt like if I used a bigger lot, I might end up having just like vast amount of space around the main town that was just kind of like grass, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I just kind of wanted the lot to be full of the town basically, so that's why I picked this one. And I thought it was quite nice actually having it up high because it kind of worked. Obviously you've seen those steps that I put in, which are kind of like the main feature of the build. In my mind, those steps are like going up a hill, if you know what I mean. Like it's not just like the ground is going up, so it kind of works that we're up on a hill, that the hill would kind of keep going up. So yeah, it's quite nice, and having that sort of like outlook over the water and things, it's quite sweet. But yeah, so like I said, this lot is obviously it is functional, but as we know in The Sims, you can't have like multiple lots on one lot, or lot types on one lot. So this build is one of those ones which I see as primarily an aesthetic build, is what I like to call them, where it's been made more for what it looks like than the functionality of it. Of course, it does function, and I've play tested it and things, so it does function. Don't get me wrong, but like when I was building it, I was more like worried about how it looked than how it played, if you get what I mean. So this lot has a cafe, it has a bookshop, a bakery, an antique store, a clothes store, and then I think it has about like 5 or 6. I'm just thinking, is it 5 or 6? We'll see as we build. Like kind of residential type lots, or could be residential type lots. I've set this up on my game as a cafe, primarily because there's just this like big cafe when you first get into the town. But you could make this, I mean, any of the things I've just said. So you could have it as a bookshop, you could have it as a retail lot, you could have it as a residential or even a rental lot, because in my mind, obviously, I've built all of these lots like full, no buildings are like left empty. Apart from, actually I say that, the sort of like buildings that are where the stairs are, if you see what I mean, so like where you can't see the wall, so below the one we're working on now and underneath the, like, I want to call it like arch moment, that is just like platformed, so it's just like a box almost, because I wanted that area to be, like I said before, like supposedly the land, so there's nothing under there. Obviously there is, because I've had to build something under there, but like in real life there wouldn't be anything under there. So near the end you do see I put some like rock to make it look like that is actually like land rather than just like building underneath. But yeah, but other than those, everything has been built inside. But I imagine that if you wanted to play with this lot, you wouldn't keep it as that. You might want to, like if you have it as the cafe, you may want to empty everything else so that it functions better. You may want to make the cafe bigger, like bump out into some of the other lots. You might want to make it a rental lot and just pick one of the like accommodation spaces, delete everything else. That's the great thing about this type of build. You can just make it however you want to play with it, basically. The only downside, I guess, obviously, there's a lot on this lot. I tried, to be honest, I have like restricted myself, I'll say. I have put detail in this lot, but I could have put a lot more, but I didn't want to put too much because I didn't want to overload the lot, because it did start to lag like a smidge when I was playtesting it. But so I know that obviously for computers that are perhaps a lower spec, it might not be like the best. I can, if you want, upload this. I can make this whole lot empty, just have like the builds, and upload that to the gallery as well if you want. Let me know, I can do that. Obviously I'll upload it to the gallery as it is. Well, I say as it is, it's slightly changed. Just some of them have, the insides of the accommodation spaces have changed slightly, just because some of them, you know what the Sims are like, they were very faffy. They wouldn't do things that they should do, like go onto a toilet that is fully in a space that's functional, but apparently it's not. Honestly, one of the toilets, I playtested it for like a good 10 minutes. I don't know why they wouldn't use it. I sorted it out in the end, but who knows? Anyway, but yeah, so it's just like minor changes in some of the lots. But otherwise, yeah, I'll upload it as it is. But yeah, do let me know if you want me to upload it empty, perhaps. But yeah, so I have just been kind of waffling a little bit and not actually spoken about any of the specifics, and a lot of the exterior is here now, and obviously the main feature in the middle is the steps. And I know I say this in every build, I use stone steps, and for some reason I've used stone steps in like a lot of my most recent builds, so I keep banging on about it, but there's no nice railing I think that fits with it, like a nice stone one, I mean. So what I did is I actually used these stone like wall pieces that are in the debug menu, I think from Cottage Living, but I think the stone colour works quite well in this world, and I liked how it's sort of like a curved shape, and I sort of put some together to make it sort of like as if it sort of slants down with or slopes down with the steps. I really like that. I hope that like comes across how it should, but I just think it makes it look a bit more natural, and as if the steps are really old, they've been there for many years, because of course the idea is that these are like really, really, really old buildings that have been here for a really, really long time and have just obviously been chopped and changed over the years. And yeah, so it's not all like perfectly in line, and some have more, like floors than others, some are just one floor like the little antique shop. But yeah, so it's all sort of supposed to be quite higgledy-piggledy, and I just think it really adds to I just think it's gorgeous. I think these towns are so nice, these sort of like types of towns. I've never actually been to like the south of France or Italy, Tuscany, which I feel like is where this world is based off of. I could be wrong, but that's kind of what I'm imagining. I've never actually been to those countries before, but I have spent some time. I studied in Spain and Portugal, which obviously is like slightly different aesthetics, but same kind of like, like they have old towns obviously, so yeah, just any old town on the continent, I just think, I mean, yeah, any European old town, they're just stunning, aren't they? So it's just nice to try and recreate one, really, in a world where it fits. That's what's really nice. But yeah, so had a look at some inspiration pictures, and the steps were like the main thing I wanted to put in. I just knew I wanted to have big steps going through, and then just having some sort of like other stairs, like random, like I said, like higgledy-piggledy kind of like different things going on. So it's just sort of like, I don't know, it's just nice. So yes, that's kind of where the inspiration came from. But we're now sort of starting to give it a bit of life. And I really, really love these lampposts that I'm putting down now. They're from this pack, the My Wedding Stories pack, but they're from the debug menu, I believe. So I do end up changing them, mainly because I find the lights in the debug menu don't give off as much light as the like ordinary lights just in the buy catalogue. But I think these are so gorgeous, aren't they? So nice. But the ones I pick, I think they're base game in the end. They don't fit in as well, but they still give that kind of like old towny vibe, so it's okay. but yeah, and I play around, to be honest. I do chop and change, and you'll see me jump around a lot while I'm building, so I'll sort of like go from one build to another. Obviously, when I find things that I feel like I won't find again, I always pull them out and put them somewhere. And just like as I'm going, I don't know, I find like as I build, the sort of like idea changes as well, like or the direction of where you're going with certain builds changes. And I didn't know as well, I knew that this lot was going to be the cafe. This build that I'm working on now, I knew when I built this one, this was going to be the main like cafe. But all the other like little builds, I didn't know until I started building them what they were going to be. So again, that's why I kind of have to go back and forth a little bit, because I find things and I think, oh, that would work there, and then I just kind of chop and change, and like where windows might need to be and things like that. But yeah, like I say, this is the little cafe, and putting out my mugs. But of course that fits this cafe. This is the little cafe, and like I say, everything is super squished, so even though it's a big lot, I'm saying with quotation marks, it's not like, none of the individual lots are big, they're super squished, so it does function. I was playtesting this earlier, and it was quite funny actually, because like there were so many Sims in this tiny cafe. Like they were loving it. There was just so many people queuing up for coffee. It was quite a mess, to be honest, on the floor, because they were all just dumping coffee cups on the floor. But anyway, yeah, it was nice and like lively. I like that. I like when there's like loads of Sims in a community lot. I think that's really, really fun, because it's just so sad when they're like a bit empty. So yeah, tiny little cafe, got an upstairs as well, and obviously a little toilet, and it's just supposed to be quite cozy vibes. I do end up changing the floor and the wallpaper in here as well, because I really, really like this wallpaper. It's the one from City Living, I think, and there's another one with like paneling, and it's kind of got that like dirt effect kind of creeping up the wall that I like, that kind of makes it seem older. It's been up for years, and just gives it a bit of texture, so it's not just like a plain wallpaper, if you know what I mean, that's just like neatly, perfectly on the wall. So yeah, I do really like this, and I think it works really well with older builds. But in the end, I decided to go with that tile, I think from Jungle Adventures, which is another one of my favourite wallpapers, again because it has that texture of like dirt. And then I also put tile on the floor, because I start with wood, and some of the lots have, I say lots, I mean like I keep like interchanging lots and builds. It's confusing when there's many builds on one lot. I start referring to each one as a lot, but some of the other little buildings have got wooden floor, but I feel like a lot of these buildings would have tile. So obviously the Mediterranean countries can be quite hot, and so they tend to have a lot more tile on the floor and things, just because it's like cooler, I believe anyway. That's why. So yeah, I do end up putting tile in here, and that tile on the floor is actually from the Werewolves pack, which I know again it's something I bang on about a lot. It's just like so versatile for like some really weird reason, because it's a werewolves pack. You wouldn't think like, oh, I'm going to use tiles from a werewolves pack in a build in Tartosa. But here we are, and that's what we're doing. So yeah, I think they're so lush, because they're like partly broken as well, and that's quite fun. So it's like, looks like they've been there for a really, really, really long time. So yeah, I like that. And we're moving on now to, this is a bookshop, and I actually make this bookshop have 2 floors, which I thought was quite a fun idea. And you can also like get into the bookshop from both floors, so like you can come in at the top level and go downstairs, or come in at the bottom level and go upstairs, which I thought was quite fun. It reminded me of, there's some really, really nice book shops that I've seen, like really ornate old ones, which have just so much detailing, and they have that sort of like upstairs space. I mean, I say that this one does not replicate this because it's so teeny tiny, but having the 2 floors, I think that's like, I don't know, they can be really cool looking. And it's definitely something that I want to build, like as like the whole lot being that, like, you know, fancy kind of bookshop. I'm thinking predominantly of one that's in Porto. I don't know if like anyone knows of it, but Porto in Portugal, it's I think, I want to say, now I could be wrong because I didn't know this before I'm saying this, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to risk it for chocolate biscuit. I think it has links to Harry Potter, I want to say. Is it based on, like, something was inspired by this bookshop? I can't remember, but there is some kind of link there. So you might have heard of it through that, but there's definitely some kind of link. But there's this amazing bookstore there. And yeah, it's a vibe. So definitely something like that. Definitely got to be recreated. But yeah, this one was super, super squished, like all the builds in here. But I like it, you know, it's kind of like a little old bookshop. It's kind of sweet. And then this is the little bakery. Again, teeny tiny, but everything you need. I imagine they'd have some amazing, like fresh breads, pastries, yum, yum, yum. Go there in the morning, like if you're staying in a rental above, go there in the morning, get your breakfast. It's the dream, right? So that's the kind of vibes I was getting from this. Also, I'm really sorry if my voice keeps going a bit coarse. Like, I can just feel it creeping in, getting a little bit husky, and no one needs to hear that. But there we are. I just feel it every so often, but hopefully we can ride this through. And now we've moved on actually upstairs above the bakery, which is the start of 2 tiny little, I don't even know what to call them. I'm just going to call it an apartment. But these are really, really small, and these are the apartments I was referring to about perhaps being almost not functional. Like they are actually. Well, this is the bathroom that I was talking about earlier, where the toilet, they were having none of it. I deleted the door, having none of it. Deleted the wall, having none of it. Deleted everything around the toilet, having none of it. I ended up just changing that orientation of that bathroom a little bit, but it's still that same corner and everything. But yeah, so strange. But anyway, it is functional. That chair isn't, but I mean that's just decoration. But as you can see, it's super, super squished. I don't know how like functional it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, would you actually want to live in there or stay in there? I don't know, like as a sim, because you know we all know what sims are like, and they will not get on with a space like that. But I know some people enjoy doing that, so. Yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you want with it. As I said earlier, go wild. You could make it an upstairs to the bakery. You can knock through, make a massive bookshop, however you want. And then this one I'm working on now is also tiny. It's a bit bigger. It's got like 3 floors, I want to say, but it's such a strange shape. It also has a little garden, so I mean they've got it all really. But yeah, so we've just got this tiny like little. And they end up having a tiny little bathroom, which is just like 1 tile wide and then long and thin. And then just like the bedroom in the loft has just got like a ladder up to it. So very funky. I'd say not very realistic, but the space I was left with these 2 buildings on the end were so small, and I didn't want to like change how they looked from the exterior. So like I say, I was going for the aesthetics. The vibes, that's the aesthetics, rather than the functionality of the inside. So again, that's where you kind of end up with these weird kind of spaces. But like I say, just empty them if you want, or you can just do whatever you want. It's kind of fun, to be honest, using weird spaces, because it makes you kind of work hard on how you can fit something in a space, like making sure you've got a kitchen, a bathroom, everything that's like functional for a little house or a little rental lot. But yeah, I imagine this one is a little house, like a residential lot, and then the one that we just did previously was maybe like an Airbnb sort of thing. Maybe even the people that own it that live in this house, because their like little balcony area here is like above it. I don't know, it's kind of a fun idea. I just love how they're all interlinked, you know. But yeah, so I'd say this is definitely a little house, because it's got its own garden, it's got all that like extra little, you know, like more space and just what you'd need, you know. And this little space out the back here, I changed it a few times. At the moment, you can see I'm putting this wall down from Debug again, which comes with this pack. But I do end up changing it because it's so bright. I don't know why it's so bright. I like to use like items from Debug that come with the pack that the world I'm building in comes from, if that makes sense. So I always feel that because obviously those Debug items are in the world somewhere, so it's going to blend in much better to the world. But for some reason those walls are just so bright, like, yeah, it kind of annoyed me in the end, and I ended up changing it to like how I've done the rocks that I use for the stairs, which kind of contradicts what I just said, because they didn't come with this pack, but I think they blend in quite well with this pack, to be honest. But yeah, and now we've kind of gone to the other side of the street, and we're like back at the start by the steps of this like little residentially type lot, which the ones on this one are, I'd say, more functional. They're bigger, so they have like an actual kitchen space here, like a proper lounge area. You've got a little I never know what to call it, that little like burner that comes from the Eco Lifestyle pack. Like, I always in my mind think it's a log burner, just from like, because it's like a little kind of, that's the kind of vibes it gives me, but I don't think it is, because it's got little stones in it, doesn't it? So I'm just going to call it a little burner. But yeah, so it's got more space, like I said, and I imagine that it could be an actual home, but I think I set it up as in my mind, again, it's a kind of Airbnb type thing. So I think I put a little suitcase in this one. Fun idea. But yeah, like I say, it could be whatever you fancy. And very like, bit more modernized, I want to say, or it's very like, you know, like white bedding, white bed sheets, quite clean, you know what I mean? Like, rather than kind of a bit more like scruffy, or not scruffy, but just kind of less lived in, if you know what I mean? Which made me feel like it was more likely to be an Airbnb. But, you know, could be a neat sim. And then this little lot, this is probably my favourite little building. Well, I say my favourite, I can't have a favourite, but probably one of my favourite buildings in this lot, because I love how it is like nestled against the steps. So it's like the steps are going up alongside it. I don't know, I just really enjoy that aesthetic. I really, really do. And then the fact that it's like just one story and the two buildings next to it are like bigger, I don't know, it just nestles in real nice. It really does. And I thought it was perfect for like this kind of like little antique shop that I feel like also sells sort of knick-knacky things. What I should have really built as well, thinking about it, is maybe like a little souvenir shop. That would have been really sweet. I do have a build on my gallery actually, that I built a long time ago. It's not on YouTube, which is like a coastal town, and I kind of, it's a similar vibe of this type of lot, right? So it's like lots of different build types within the lot, much bigger than this, has a lot more. It has like a bar, I remember it has a bar, it has like a restaurant, cafe. I think I built a whole hotel and a yoga studio. It's huge. But yeah, in that one, I remember specifically I made a little souvenir shop, and that was super cute. I could have built one here, but I just felt like, because it's somewhere that tourists would visit, you know, these old towns. But I kind of like the idea of having this one, it's still old towny, like it's not been like, you know, changed by tourists coming, you know, they've kept it like how it was, more like a proper old town. So yeah, I really enjoyed that sort of like knick-knacky bits and bobs kind of antique store. I imagine there'd be one of those these sorts of places. And then we move up the steps to another little residential lot, which again is more sort of clean and modern inside. It's a bit bigger, like the previous one. You've got a proper kitchen space, sitting area, and then upstairs, more like conventional shaped rooms. Although I say that the bathroom upstairs is interesting, but you know what I mean. Like, it's just not like the ones on the other side of the street, which are just like these really strange shaped places. But yeah. So, and this is the building as well, that underneath this, where we're building now, is what I've just like platformed up. So it's just like it just looks like a big box, right? There's like nothing in the building under like the room that is below this, because in my mind it's land in real life, it's the hill. So I didn't want to build anything under this. I contemplated making a basement. It might make more sense to make a basement so that this house is like bigger. You get more space then, you can have more bedrooms, etc. But yeah, I just thought I'm going to keep that as the ground underneath. And this is the bathroom that I was talking about. I just wanted to make sure each of the little houses were slightly different. I didn't want to just make them exactly the same, like the exact same layouts. So yeah, I just had to play around with some different shapes, even though they're probably not very like realistic. Yeah, I didn't want them to look all the same, especially because obviously they're not very personalised, because in my mind they are more likely to be rental lots, so they're just kind of like got everything you would need if you were staying here. But yeah, perhaps I should have made some more like old towny ones, but anyway, change them as you wish. And then this little lot is also a super cute little one, which is at the top of the stairs underneath the archway, and I thought we'd make a sort of cute little boutique clothes store, which I think fits in really nicely here. And I like that it's away from like the main run of the shops. I think that's quite fun. Like, I did think about putting another residential lot or making this part of the residential lot that we've just done, so just like a bigger one. But yeah, I just thought this was quite sweet actually. And then I also end up, you'll see in a minute, I make a kind of market space outside as well, up in this I want to call it like, I don't know what to call it, but it's like the bit that's like under the archways. It's not a bridge. It's kind of a bridge, kind of a tunnel. It's not really a tunnel, is it? But that kind of space, I don't know, it just like really fit in well. And you probably saw throughout the video that I tried a couple times to put one of those market stall tables down in various places along the like main town area, like on the ground level. But because obviously, I don't know, I just felt like it stuck out quite a lot. It didn't fit, whereas this created a nice little nook for it. And yeah, so I'm doing it now. You'll see I put it here, and yeah, I just kind of placed some items around it to make it look like it's sort of set up and someone sells, like, you know, things they make, some bags, I don't know, paintings, just bits and bobs. So you come up here and you're like, you know, it's just a bit sort of, it's just cute and boutiquey. Yeah, I really like that vibe. And then this is the final residential lot up top here. And this one, for me, seems more perhaps lived in. It's a little apartment. Again, just one bedroom. They're all so small. I'm really sorry. But it's just the vibe we were going for. We were going for squished, small vibes. And yeah, so like I say, a bit more lived in. They've got quite a big bathroom, actually. Quite lucky, these people, to be honest. And then they've obviously got the terrace up top as well. It's got more space up there as well, so much bigger. And like I said, I did want to try and keep these fairly different. I didn't want to keep using the same items. So like, I'm using these kitchen cabinets, which are from the City Living pack, I think. They're like the scruffy base game ones, which I like really enjoy them. I love that little detail. And this one, that kind of led me to make this build a bit more scruffy, or this house. Sorry, I know this is really confusing. I keep saying build lot, like just completely interchangeably. But this little apartment is a bit more, I don't know, like rusticy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it's just giving me like vintagey kind of vibes, you know, just a bit more quirky compared to the other ones, which are a bit cleaner. So yeah. And yeah, like I say, this one gets the luxury of quite a big bathroom. Has a full-size bath. This is the only bath I think I put on this lot. So yeah, definitely the place to stay or live in if you're going to live somewhere. Although it is a little bit scruffy, like I say. But yeah, so I will leave you now to finish the rest of the build. Like I say, I just finish up this lot and then put some different like stoning on the back of the lot and put some on the areas that I said were platforms, so to make it look like there's like stone ground rather than like just having empty buildings underneath these two lots. So yeah, just finish up doing those bits and then we'll be all done. I hope you enjoyed this one. It's a nice build. I did enjoy it, and I'll see you all in the next one.